Hey friends, it's Miss Sarah, and today we're going to be talking about lines and color. So last week you guys were creating paper sculptures using lines and hopefully color, and this week we are going to be applying that same knowledge to a piece of paper. So if you look right here, this is what we're actually going to be making, is working on the order of the rainbow, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet, and talking about different kind of lines that we have. Let's think about it. Diagonal lines, which look like this. Straight lines look like this. Horizontal, vertical, dashed lines, curly lines, wavy lines, so on and so forth. So let's talk about it. The first line I want to show you is a straight line. Not only is it straight, but it is also vertical, and it looks like this. That's the first line. Second line is horizontal, which is this way, and it looks like this. Then we have zigzag. That's a fun one because you go up and down. It's like the letter A or M repeated over and over. Zigzag. Then we have curly line. That looks like this. This one's fun to make. Then we have something called a dash line. That's when you use a lot of little lines or broken lines, like this. Then we have a wavy line, like this. Then we have marks, which are a bunch of little vertical lines, but short, like this. Whoops. And our final set of lines is we're going to use diagonal. That usually goes from one corner to the other. And then we have, I like to call them clouds. They look like this. Now we're going to take all of those lines and add it to a piece of paper, starting at the top, working our way down. I want you to try to use as many of the lines as you can fit on your paper. And when you do those lines, I want you to use your crayons. I used black from all of my lines. That way, when I colored them, all of the lines still showed up. So you want to use a dark color, black, maybe purple or blue, but it's up to you. This is your work of art and your set of lines. After you have the lines made, then we're going to start working on the rainbow order. Hopefully you remember what the rainbow order is. I will move on to the next lesson. Here we go. All right, guys, let's get started. So hopefully you have a sheet of paper, your crayons, watercolor paint, water bucket, paintbrush, and Sharpie if you need one. Now, if you don't have watercolor paint, I have a solution. You just need some aluminum foil and washable markers to create your own watercolor paint. Let me show you how to do that. If you don't have watercolor paint, all you need is aluminum foil and markers. So I took a sheet of aluminum foil and wrapped it around a piece of cardboard just so I have something to hold. Now you want to make sure you have enough room for all the colors you want to use. To do this, you just simply take a color in a section on your aluminum foil, grab your paintbrush, dip it in a little bit of water, swirl it around, and there you go. You have beautiful watercolor paint. Looks just as good as regular paint. All right, friends, so we're going to be using a technique called resisting, and that's when you have crayon on your paper and then you paint over it with watercolor paint. The watercolor paint will not cover the crayon. The crayon will actually push the watercolors off so the crayon still shows up and the watercolor paint. It's super cool. So like I said, I'm going to be using a black crayon to draw all of my lines. You can use whatever color you'd like. but I'm sticking to black. Now at the top of your paper, which looks like this, your paper is oriented vertically. That means it's longer, or it's taller than it is wide. So at the very top, we're going to draw a straight line across our paper. This is called a horizontal line. Hopefully you remembered that. Up next, I'm going to go with a zigzag. Then I'll do a curly line. When you do curls, you might want to slow down a little bit. That way, they all kind of show up the same size. So we're going to start at the edge, come up and around, up and around, up and around. You don't have to do the same order as me. You can just do it how you wish. But your whole paper should have lines throughout. Next up, I'm going to do a dashed line. Remember, this is like a broken horizontal line. Where do you think you might have seen this kind of line? Maybe in the street or when you're cutting something out? That's a dashed line. Now I'll do a wavy line. It's like hills. Yeah, cool. Now, up next, I'm going to do marks. Now remember, those are just little short lines, short vertical lines. Awesome. I still have some room left, so I gotta keep filling up my paper with more lines. Now I think I'll do the cloud-shaped lines. Curve, curve. They're all connected. And I'm just gonna go off the page. Now I have a little bit of room left. I could probably fill it with some diagonal lines, and that's about it. So remember, diagonal lines are slanted. There we go. Our lines are ready for color. Alrighty, so when we add color to this, I was going to be using my watercolor paints. Normally, we would have to wake up the color because right now, usually they're asleep. That means they're very dry and they haven't had any water yet. When you add the water, that's what wakes them up. That's what gets them to start working. Now my paints are already awake because I used them once this morning. So what I'll do is get a little water on my paintbrush and I'm going to wipe it on the side. Now I don't want to tap it because it'll splash everywhere and get my artwork wet where I don't want it to be. So instead, I'll wipe it on the side. Now when I get paint on my brush, I'm going to kind of roll my brush, twisting it. I'm not pushing hard, I'm not jabbing it, I'm just simply twisting in the color I want to use. Now my brush is loaded with red, and I'm going to start at the top because that is the first color of the rainbow, and that is where I will start on the top of my paper. And I'm going to fill the whole top section with, you guessed it, red. It's gonna go all the way across. Now when you start to run out of paint, you'll have to go back, get a tiny bit of water, twirl in your red, and continue painting. There we go. Now notice I tried to stay above the line, so the crayon line there. Now, when I'm ready for a new color, do you think I should go straight to the next color or wash it off first? If you said wash it off first, you are correct. Great job. So I'm gonna wash off the old color. Ooh, look at the water change. Wipe it off on the side and then go for my next one. Next up in the rainbow is orange, and check that out. I've got orange all over the tip of my brush. This time I will paint inside the zigzags. Notice I'm dragging my brush across. I'm not pushing it, I'm pulling or dragging the color, because that creates a lot more smooth of a line and it looks a little bit nicer. And I hold my brush in a safe spot. I just realized, friends, we didn't even talk about the parts of the paintbrush. Do you guys know what this part of the brush is called? It's the handle, because that's where your hand goes. Do you know what this is called? We call it the danger zone, because we don't want paint in our danger zone. We want to keep the danger zone clean and free of any color. Do you know what this part is called? That's right, the bristles or the hairs, and that's what we use to paint with. So let's go ahead and wash off the hairs of our brush, wipe them on the edge, and we're ready for the next color, which is, drumroll please, yellow. Friends, just so you know, yellow is my all-time favorite color. What is your favorite color? Let me guess, is it green? Is it blue? Purple? All of the colors? All right, so I'm going through and I'm filling in my yellow, and I will do that until it is all the way painted. Try to fill in all of your white spots. See how I kept my loops white? That's because I want to paint them green. But you know what? It's up to you. You could paint them yellow if you want. You could paint them green. Your choice. All right, I give you a hint. Boys and girls, the next color is green. So my brush was clean and wet, and I swirled it in the color. Now I'm going to fill the areas with green. I'm still holding on to my paintbrush by the handle. I think I'll do this bottom half as well. Get a little more water to wake up my paint. Wake up, green. You sleepyhead, wake up. It's time to paint. And here I go. Here's a little bit more. There we go. Beautiful. Wash my brush. And so on. If you get about halfway done and you've used all of the colors in the rainbow, that means you need to just start over. Add another layer of red.